And we're moving on to this Florida State University story. If you guys haven't heard by now, there was another school shooting at Florida State University this time around. I don't even get surprised. I'm not even surprised by these school shootings anymore. That's how commonplace it has become in the United States. And that's the sad part, but it's the reality with the country that we live in. Again, the theme is law and order. We're going to get started with this. I have some information about the suspect and why I think this may have been done and where we can go from here. Let's go ahead and dive into this clip here.
But we begin tonight with breaking news and another mass shooting in this country, this time at Florida State University in Tallahassee. 2 people are now dead. We know that they are not students, 6 others injured. Investigators have not revealed any other details about those victims.
More gun insanity in this country. Authorities say the shooter is in custody. 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, a student at the university. He is also hospitalized. Police say he used a gun belonging to his mother, who is a sheriff's deputy. They say he had access to her weapons.
Investigators say he opened fire near the student union. When officers arrived, they immediately found the gunman. When he refused to comply, he was shot. Video from earlier today shows students in that all too familiar and tragic scene of being escorted to safety with their hands up. Terrifying moments for everyone on campus.
The shots rang out and we were like, is that construction going on or what was happening? And I remember looking outside and hearing 5 more shots go off.
I see these group of girls crying, really upset, walking back from the student union, told me they heard gunshots and they just ran and came back to their apartment where I was walking to.
Accounts of so many young people, hard to hear for sure. Eyewitness News anchor Mike Marza here now with more. Mike?
Bill and Liz.
This is the sad part about all of this is that, again, it's the same story every time. However, in this particular situation, the shooter is alive. And a lot of times when these school shootings happen, the killer will unalive themselves. That didn't happen in this particular case. They did shoot him. He is injured, but he is alive. So a little bit different. And think about where this takes place, right? So you had the Parkland school shooting. I did see an article. There was another Parkland school shooter survivor who was also at this campus as well. Imagine going through that twice.
Imagine getting those alerts on your phone and being a parent half a country away. Calling the scene horrific. That's what cops are doing tonight. Investigators say, yes, the son of a sheriff's deputy started shooting at the student union just before noon. Police identifying the alleged shooter as, again, 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner, a current FSU student and the son of a current Leon County sheriff's deputy. Police rushing to the scene. They say they confronted the shooter and shot him when they say that he refused their commands. You can sort of make out the bottom of his shoe or boot in the ambulance, and police putting him in shackles. We're told he suffered non-life-threatening injuries after being shot by police. But when cops got to campus, students, some of them started running out of the buildings. Some described a threat alarm going off. Some, of course, were crying, using backpacks as shields in school. The accused shooter, described as a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Youth Advisory Council and participated in training programs. Again, his mom, a sheriff's deputy, has been with the sheriff's office for 18 years.
So this is the son of a deputy, and now we know where he got his training, right? So for people who are wondering, where did he get his gun? Now we know where he got his training as well.
Investigators say her training weapon was found at the shooting scene.
Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. The alleged shooter was also a long-standing member of the Leon County Sheriff's Office Citizen Advisory or Youth Advisory Council.
Pause. We have to go back to the mother's weapon. The question that I have about this particular case is the mother going to be charged? Some of you may be wondering why I'm asking that question. There was a case many years ago in Maryland where this happened, where a officer had their weapon in their house and a family member decided to take that weapon and used it to kill someone. The officer went to jail. Believe it or not, the officer actually went to jail because apparently his firearm was neglected. So what I'm curious about is the mother going to face charges as well for leaving her weapon unattended? I don't know. Maybe in Florida, the laws may be different. Who knows? But I'm curious about that.
So he has been steeped in the Leon County Sheriff's Office family, engaged in a number of training programs that we have.
So far in 2025, there have been 81 mass shootings as of April 17th, including this latest one in Florida. By the way,
81 in this country in 2025. Guys, it's only April. The year just damn near started.
This is Florida's 6th mass shooting so far this year. The investigation continues, but we know classes and activities are canceled throughout the weekend. Bill?
All right, now let's go to a little bit more information here about the shooter because it appears there's a little bit more about his background that I also want to get into. Apparently, he was accused of being a white supremacist. We'll get into all of that as well. Shout out to Case Study QB for this clip here.
In our national lead, police say that the suspected shooter in Thursday's mass shooting at Florida State University in Tallahassee will, quote, face the charges up to and including first-degree murder. CNN's Brian Todd's following the story. Brian, are officials any closer to a motive considering the suspect is currently not cooperating with police?
Jake, they appear no closer to establishing a motive tonight, but again, they're trying to question him. And as you mentioned, he has invoked his rights not to speak to police. So the motive really remains an outstanding question tonight. Here's what we do know about the suspect tonight. And this is information compiled by our CNN teams on the ground and by CNN's investigative unit. The suspect is named Phoenix Eichner. He's 20 years old. University officials confirm he is a junior at Florida State University. Authorities say he is the son of a local sheriff's deputy. Officials and records reviewed by CNN say that when he was taken into custody, Eichner was carrying a handgun that used to be the service weapon of a sheriff's deputy named Jessica Eichner. Jessica Eichner has not responded to CNN's request for comment. Authorities say that Phoenix Eichner spent time training with law enforcement and served on the Sheriff's Advisory Council in the years before the shooting. And according to CNN's John Miller, citing a law enforcement source familiar with the investigation, police recovered an AR-15 rifle inside the car that Eichner drove to campus, in addition to the handgun and the shotgun that were found near him. Now, according to court records, his biological mother, whose name is Anne Marie Erickson, was accused of taking him to Norway when he was 10 years old in violation of a custody agreement. The father, at one point, tried to modify a custody agreement, claiming that the biological mother left him in, quote, deplorable hygiene and that he looked like he hadn't slept enough. Tallahassee Police Chief Lawrence Revel said at this point there does not appear to be any connection between the alleged shooter and any of the victims. One Florida State student did tell CNN that Phoenix Eichner was asked to leave an extracurricular political group a couple of years ago due to unsettling behavior that he displayed there, Jake.
Pause. So no connection between him and the suspects. But one of the things that they mentioned there is that he's not cooperating with the police. So let that sink in. That's why they can't tell you what the motive was, because I guess he's pleading the fifth. Doesn't want to cooperate there.
What more do we know about the victims?
Right, we just got some new information this afternoon, Jake, on the victims. They are now identified as Robert Morales. He is an FSU graduate himself, according to his LinkedIn page, and he was an FSU employee. That's according to his older brother, Ricardo Morales. Heartbreakingly, Ricardo Morales chronicled on X his experience yesterday trying to find his brother, at one point posting, quote, waiting for a callback. Robert Morales leaves behind a wife and a daughter, according to his brother. And the other victim, Tiru Chaba, who worked for Aramark, a food and service and a facilities management company. He worked there at Florida State University. He is a 45-year-old father of two.
All right, Brian Todd, thanks so much. I want to bring in a gun safety advocate and vice chair of the Democratic
Then they go to David Hogue, who also, of course, was a part of the Parkland ones. We're going to get to David for a different story, so I don't want to be showing David twice. But I want you to hear what this FSU student said. Apparently, he was in one of the school clubs with the shooter. Now, he breaks something down here I want you guys to hear, where he said that the rule that they had for this particular club was that you couldn't be a Nazi. So listen to this.
And then you find yourself in that locked room, the door handle jiggling, and the worst going through your mind.
Yeah. So, like you said, we had practiced active shooter drills in high school. It didn't really happen in college, but we did what we were taught to do. Like I said, we locked down the room, lights off, and doors closed, and we were just doing what we had become normal to do. It became normal to practice having a shooter on campus shooting my peers.
That's sad. That's insane what he just said there, that this is something that just became normal over time. Because you had to, I mean, it's crazy, you know, like imagine growing up during a time where you had to do tornado drills, earthquake drills, like we had tornado drills when I was in school. Then you move from that to active shooter drills. And he said this has become normal, something they were accustomed to doing. This country, it's the US. Other countries, they don't have mass shootings like we do. They don't have the number of mass shootings we do, if any at all. It's something about, it's this place. I want people to understand it's something about this country because the other countries don't have it.
The suspected shooter has been identified by police as an FSU student by the name of Phoenix Eichner. I know it's a big school. Did you happen to know him?
So I spent my first 2 years at Tallahassee, now called Tallahassee State College, but we called it TCC. And I was the president of a political talk group we called the Political Roundtable, and he joined the club when I was at TCC. Basically our only rule was no Nazis, colloquially speaking. And he espoused so much white supremacist rhetoric and far right rhetoric as well, to the point where we had to exercise that rule. I also know he was a member of the TCC Turning Point chapter. And since TCC, I have seen him in passing a couple times. Today, I was talking to a friend who had talked to him yesterday, or 2 days ago, pardon me. And he was talking about how he wasn't ready for exams.
To be clear, Reed, I just want to make sure that folks understand this. So you were a transfer student essentially into FSU, right? So you started the first 2 years in Tallahassee, and that is where you knew Phoenix Eichner, the suspected shooter here. And you say that he was essentially, it sounded like, kicked out of a political club that you were in because of his as you described them, views on white supremacy?
Yes, ma'am. So it wasn't necessarily a formal kicking out, but he was asked not to come back, and was really what had happened was we had, it was a debate back and forth. And after enough times, I mean, he did not feel welcome because he was not welcome with his rhetoric. We allow people of all, beliefs, creeds, whatever. And he somehow found a way to not fit the bill on everyone else.
Pause. I wanted you to hear that because I want to make a point. When you see all of the actions that are being implemented right now by the Trump administration to fight back against anti-Semitism, which the administration is basically saying, criticizing Israel, et cetera, like they're obviously taking this to extremes, right? When you see all the actions that are happening to fight back against that, even withholding money from prestigious universities, what action do you see implemented by the current administration and previous administrations to stop this shit? What actions by the current administration do you see being implemented and previous administrations to stop White supremacy. What actions? What about school shootings? I'll wait. Sometimes there are issues that are put in front of us as a distraction, and the government and the media plays along with it. The State Department goes along with it to convince you that this is the most important issue of this time. But I think the people are waking up and they're starting not to fall for it. And I think that you see right now, Harvard rejecting and putting that rejection against Donald Trump. It needs to be done because this is the thing. If the government tells the media, which they do, if the government tells the media that this is the most important issue, the media tells the people it's the most important issue. Luckily, people are waking up and a lot more people are not falling for this. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. But this needs to be said. We've already had 81 mass shootings in this country since the start of the year. What actions has the current administration or the previous administrations done to stop that? Now, I'm not anti-gun. I'm not. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe you have a right to protect yourself. But I will say this. Something needs to change. Something is off. Something is really off with this country. Where we can't go a whole year, we can't go a month without a mass shooting in this country. Does everybody understand? We can't go 1 month without a mass shooting in this damn country. The kids are not all right. We have to stop saying they are. They're not. They're not. Who's committing most of the mass shootings? What's happening to the children? Where's the counseling? Where's the mental health? Where are these things? Oh, that's right. I forgot. We don't have universal health care. We don't have health care for everybody. So you don't have mental health care either. It's a package. This country is not okay. It really is. Like, this is insane. It's crazy how bad it has become. What goes through your mind when you wake up that morning and say, you're just going to go to a campus and just remember, they said there's no connection between him and the people that he killed. There's no connection. So it's this country, guys. It's something wrong. Now I want to make a point. How often do school shooters and mass shooters, how often in this country are they given the death penalty? Which I don't support. Let me be clear about that. I don't think it's right for us to decide. I don't support that. How often? Okay. The reason why I'm asking you that question is I want you to pay attention to what the government is doing. Right now, the Department of Justice is seeking the death penalty for Luigi Mangione, who I told you guys before, I'm still not convinced that's the same person in those pictures. Luigi is accused of killing healthcare CEO. One person, right? But mass shooters in this country walk on campus and can injure or kill multiple people, and you don't see the Justice Department give them the death penalty. Does everybody see what is going on? Now, again, the shooter is alive. He is refusing to cooperate with police. Again, that's why we said we still don't have a motive at all. But I don't know why this was done. But this case is a little bit different considering the fact that he is still alive, which is usually not the case for the most part. But the kids are not all right. Talk to your kids. I don't know what's going on, but the kids are not all right. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.